Well, let's stay then with the issue of the country's border post, but also some of the services of Home Affairs, and understand what the responses to these situations are. The Home Affairs Minister, Aaron Motsoaledi, is on the line. Dr. Motsoaledi, good evening and thanks for your time today. Firstly, let's just talk about Parliament's portfolio, the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee visit to the Beitbridge border post today. They're calling for a complete overhaul of the system at the borders. What are the kind of conversations you've been having with the committee?
Well, good evening, Cathy, and good evening to the viewers. You are aware, Cathy, that is the function of parliamentary committees to pay oversight. But the issue of overhauling the situation at the borders, I'm sure you are already that it is far advanced. As I'm speaking to you, Cabinet in December has just approved the bill on one-stop border post, where we are going to overhaul the whole border post in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the geography there, and in terms of the functions. And now, in terms of the laws of the country, we need public participation. And I've issued in December a government gazette for public participation. The closing date for members of the public to submit their views is the 28th of February. That's number one. Number two, I've already met with the ministers in the neighboring countries to agree on this one-stop border post, whereby, as I said, we're going to overhaul the whole infrastructure there, such that there is one lane for trucks, there is one lane for taxis and buses, there is one lane for private motor vehicles, and one lane for pedestrians. And that when people arrive at the borders, they are not, they don't meet officials on one side of the border and then finish up the work there, which might take many hours, and go to restart at the other side. They only meet officials once, where the two groups, the two countries will have to come together. And so there are various models of this one-stop border post. And so we've already met with the neighboring countries to choose which model is going to be applicable to each border post, because we've got 6 border posts, the busiest in the country, which are going to be affected by this issue of one-stop border post. So it's not a new call, it's something that is in the pipeline. And as I'm talking, we are finalizing documents to contract private sector companies, because this model I'm talking about, this one-stop border post, is going to be done in a form of a PPP. So we are already finalizing a draft to call for proposals from private sector companies that are going to be involved in this whole issue.
Minister, when it comes to the idea of this one-stop border post and its efficiency once it is implemented, where are you getting the confidence that this is the right solution? So have you done any benchmarking, perhaps just a little bit of insights that you can give us around why this is the direction of the solution you're going in?
Oh, the project manager for one-stop border post with a team have already visited globally areas where one-stop border posts are working on the African continent and elsewhere. So it's not something that is just a new dream. It is already happening in other areas of the world, and our neighbors also cherish it. And that's why in our meeting with ministers, they've agreed. Our technical teams are meeting quite often to discuss the process going forward.
The Portfolio Committee Chair, Bongani Bongo, has said that one of the other issues that had come up was that over tariffs and how much people are paying when they cross the border. So how much they're paying perhaps on the Zimbabwean side versus what they're paying on the South African side, and that there was no standardization of tariffs. Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, when we do one-stop border post, Cathy, as I've already said, it is the two countries coming together. They do everything together, which is standardized. Everything, and that will include tariffs, even the equipment and the automation. For instance, one of the problems at Beitbridge is that the SARS systems, which process trucks and the goods when they go through, are automated. Everything done by SARS is automated. And the trucking industry in South Africa have aligned their systems with the SARS systems to be automated. But unfortunately, once the truck crosses, when they go to the Zimbabwean side, they are still manual. The systems are manual. And even if SARS can push up lots of trucks per hour, on the Zimbabwean side, they can only receive 20 trucks per hour. At most, it will be 30 trucks. Now, with the one-stop border post, all that will stop because everything will be processed together and everything will be uniform.
Let's talk about some of the announcements regarding the changes, in particular to Home Affairs officers and how they're going to be operating under the current lockdown regulations. You're going to be having limited services?
Yeah, we have to, Cathy. All indications are that Home Affairs offices are becoming super spreader events because of the large number of people who are going there. I've already read the statistics to you that in the first 2 working days of this year, on the 4th and 5th in January, we've already registered more than 10,000 deaths. I've already told you that in the first 10 days, we already lost seven members, and the infection rate is going very high. So the only solution is to suspend some of the Home Affairs offices and change some of the modalities of providing services. For instance, after suspending some of the services which I've mentioned, like marriages, like IDs to other people except matriculants, we also proposed that death certificates be issued at hospitals where the deceased died. If those hospitals have got Home Affairs offices, and I can count 156 hospitals in the country where there's a presence of Home Affairs offices. So we are saying birth certificate and death certificates must be issued there. But we have also extended the period of operations of the Home Affairs office to 19 hours until the 15th of January. And that extended period is specifically to issue birth and death certificate and not really all the other services.
So in terms of the issuing of death certificates and the limited capacity there, and even birth registrations, are you confident in the fact that these satellite stations and the hospitals are going to be able to adequately capture that data?
It's an addition, Cathy. When you want a death certificate, people usually go to Home Affairs offices, but we are saying use also the hospitals. So there will be 3 areas where death certificates are issued. It will be the hospital where the death took place. It will be a Home Affairs office. It will be mobile trucks, which are fitted with Home Affairs systems. So we are just actually expanding so that the funeral houses do not complain that they have to wait for many hours or many days before they get their death certificate. Remember, Muslim communities can bury within 5 hours of a death. So we must issue a death certificate within 5 hours of somebody demising. So we need to have many areas where such death certificate can be issued.
So these trucks, these mobile trucks that you're talking about, are we going to see a higher number of those trucks being distributed versus the number of Home Affairs officers? And part of the reason why I'm asking is because ultimately, if you have one truck to replace an office, you're likely going to end up with still quite a number of people waiting in those queues, and it might not ultimately completely deal with the problem you're trying to alleviate.
Well, unfortunately, Cathy, we have got only 100 trucks for now. You can't just increase them immediately because it's a process. That truck needs to be fitted. They need to be fitted with a lot of equipment. And one of the unfortunate things we have realized is that when you park a truck, a Home Affairs truck which is fitted with all the equipment, in the center of Joburg, the center of Cape Town, the center of Durban, the center of Pretoria, they work very well. When you send them out in rural areas where they are needed the most, they stop functioning because they are equipped with MTN or Vodacom or Telcom or Cell C, and you are aware that in rural areas, reception becomes very poor. So we are now trying to equip our trucks with all the mobile services so that if one works, the other one doesn't work. If the one doesn't work, the other one can work. So it's unfortunate that these are not ordinary trucks. They have to be equipped with sophisticated equipment. So we have got hundreds of them. And the reason that we are using them is that when a person gets infected in a Home Affairs office, that Home Affairs office has to close temporarily for it to be disinfected. And of course, while it is waiting, the truck should be continuing the work.
Of course, one of the issues that has also come up today, Minister, in that oversight visit that was conducted by the Portfolio Committee, is a sentiment expressed from some of the MPs in the opposition benches who feel that you're not doing a good job of running the Department of Home Affairs and that perhaps you need to step aside.
Cathy, you want me to respond to that?
Absolutely.
Cathy, I think you are playing mischief, honestly. I heard you during the earlier on repeating this many times. When did Angel Kanile become in some members? Because it's one member of the opposition. And frankly speaking, what she says is always of no confidence. And I can tell you now that is of no consequence. I don't know why we waste oxygen and our breath in dealing with such an issue of what she said. I'm not sure what interest you have on this, but frankly speaking, I think it's a waste of time.
So effectively, Minister, I'm really trying to understand if you feel that you have the confidence of the Portfolio Committee in Parliament in order to be able to carry out your duties.
The Portfolio Committee in Parliament has got many political parties. And whether I've got confidence in them or not, whether they've got confidence in me will depend on the report they send to Parliament. When a Portfolio Committee has done oversight, they send a report to Parliament and it gets debated and a conclusion is made. Now, what you have been doing today, that's why I'm saying you are playing mischief. You are listening to one member of the Portfolio Committee hallucinating as she always does, and you make it a national issue. And you want me to respond to it. That's why I'm saying I don't know why such a waste of time, because the procedures are very clear on what the Portfolio Committee does.
In terms of your negotiations with the governments of other countries, there was an impression created by the chair of the Portfolio Committee that they too would be part of those talks and negotiations that are going to need to take place. And I know that there have been good relationships over the years, but how much of what needs to happen for this plan, this new plan that the department is working on to be implemented effectively, how much of that is going to rely on South Africa taking a tough stance, perhaps when it comes to what needs to be done?
Cathy, I'm sure you are mixing two things here. The Border Management Authority, which is going to manage our borders, and the one-stop border post, which is going to improve operations at the post of entry. It is the one-stop border post where the two governments are negotiating. And it's a government-to-government negotiation. It has got nothing to do with parliaments. I'm sure you are aware that government consists of three, there are three wings to the state, not government. We have got the legislature, which is separate. We have got the judiciary, and we have got the government. Or the executive. Now, this is an executive to executive arrangement. It has got nothing to do with members of parliament, and they can't get involved in these negotiations about one-stop border post because it has got nothing to do with them. What they can do is to pay oversight as they've done before, and the parliament over the other side will pay oversight, but governments are the ones who are making decisions on this. Now, coming to the Border Management Authority. The Border Management Authority bill, even if it took 10 years for Parliament to pass it, has eventually been passed as it is. And when I met the ministers in the neighboring countries, I was just informing them, because it's a decision of South Africa, we don't have to negotiate it. I was just informing them on how South Africa is going to manage its borderline. The one way we negotiate with them is at the port of entry, because nobody enters a port of gate entry or a gate of entry from one country and not be affected by what the other country is doing.
All right, Minister Aaron Motsoaledi, we're going to leave it there for tonight. Thanks for coming on.